welcome back to another episode. We got a few things to talk about. So today, we're talking about the AirPods 2, iPad Airs, iPad Minis, and the new iMacs. So, thank you for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get started. This is Henry Reacts. So, what's new with the AirPods 2? A few things. The first is wireless charging. It has a wireless charger conductor on the back of the AirPods case. It's not visible, it's invisible. And then there's a green indicator on the front of the AirPods case. This tells you when your AirPods are charging and when they need to be charged. So instead of having the light indicator within the case of the AirPods, they're now on the front of it, which is really helpful for those who set it down somewhere to charge and forget about it. So that is a really helpful tool to have integrated in the AirPods. Now, it doesn't stop there, which is what I kind of wanted to iterate with this episode. That's not all that's new with these new AirPods, which are called Generation 2, not AirPods S or anything like that. They're called AirPods Generation 2. With Generation 2, you have Bluetooth 5.0. That is faster connection. That is better stabilization in terms of the connection between your wireless device and your AirPods. So there's a more stable connection, way better battery life, and then a faster connection to your phone and your AirPods. So things are just snappier, which is what people look for when buying AirPods, is how quickly does it take to pair it to your phone? How quick is it to be put in your ears and automatically connect to your phone? That's what customers are worried about. So the fact that they made that even faster is a bigger reason to buy the new AirPods. Other than that, there's the Hey SIRI, you know who that is. Now you can activate her with just having your AirPods in. You don't have to have your phone do it for you. It'd be through the AirPods, which is convenient. But honestly, I would use that a lot more often than double tapping my ear. So I think that's a nice feature to add. That's all that's new with the AirPods 2. It's the rest of the products that all of it is internal. It's not much as external as it is internal. So let's start with the iPads. So there's now a new iPad lineup. So to start from the baseline to the top line, so the entry-level iPad is still iPad 6th generation, starting at $329. With that, you have the 9.7-inch Retina display. I'm reading off the spec sheet that I wrote for myself here, because I don't want to get it wrong, because there are a lot of new iPads. We'll get to that in a second. So this is the starting iPad at $329 with the A10 Fusion chip in it. Still has Touch ID, so all iPads other than the Pros will have Touch ID. We'll get to that in a second as well. You can go up to 128 gigabytes of storage. It starts off at 32 gigabytes. And this supports Apple Pencil Generation 1. The next level above that is the iPad Mini. This is Generation 5. Now, Generation 1, it's just called iPad Mini, but it is Generation 5. With that, it starts at $399, so it is a little bit more than the entry-level iPad, even though it's a smaller screen. But despite going from 9.7-inch to 7.9-inch, you get a A12 Bionic chip, which is the same chip that is inside the iPhone XS, XS Max, and iPhone XR. So it is the most powerful processor in a mobile device that you can find right now in terms of portables, so tablets and phones, not computers necessarily. It has Touch ID as well. Now here's where it gets interesting. The iPad Mini 5 starts at 64 gigs instead of 32. and you can go up to 256 gigabytes as opposed to 128. So there is a storage upgrade to that. This also supports Apple Pencil Generation 1. Now going up from there, I like to call this the iPad Pro entry level because it has a lot of the iPad Pro features from the 2017 models. It's just in a different body. This is the iPad Air, 3rd generation. So they decided to bring the iPad Airs back into production in terms of having them in the lineup. With the iPad Airs, they start at $499, and it has a 10.5-inch display, which is a Retina. So it's very similar to the iPad Pro 2017, except it does not have a 4K camera on the back of it. It just has a 1080p camera, which was very similar to the iPad Air Generation 2. So it's very similar to that. Touch ID has same storage availabilities as the iPad mini. Also has the A12 Bionic chip, just like the iPad mini, iPhone XS, XS Max, and iPhone XR. Also supports Apple Generation 1. And here's where I like to call it the entry-level Pro, because it does have support for the Smart Keyboard and the Apple Pencil Generation 1. So you have an iPad. This is the entry-level, I like to call it entry-level Pro, because you get to have the Smart Keyboard and the Apple Pencil support for this iPad. That's something that used to be only available with the iPad Pros, and now they have this available for the more entry-level iPads. These are features that I have been asked about. Hey, are these features going to be put in the other generation iPads, or is it just going to be available on the Pros? But now they are available on entry-level machines, which is just the iPad Air, which starting at $499 is a really good price for that. And I'm really happy that Apple decided to do that. Apple Pencil Generation 2 is different from 1. iPad Air, iPad mini, and iPad 6th generation all support Generation 1. Generation 1, for those who have never touched an iPad before in the last 5 years, the Apple Pencil Generation 1 is a pencil that plugs into the lightning port of your device and connects via Bluetooth to your device instantly just by plugging it in for the first time, and then you charge that way. With that being said, there's no magnetic sides to the iPad that you can put it on. So to carry the Apple Pencil, you'd have to put it in a case, you'd have to put it in your backpack, you have to find a place for it. With the iPad Pros, starting at $799, they have a magnetic Apple Pencil, which is Apple Pencil Generation 2, which was just released. With this Apple Pencil, it charges wirelessly just by connecting to the magnetic side of the iPad Pro. It has a magnetic side on it with the conductor in the middle that the Apple Pencil charges through. So that is different from Apple Pencil Generation 1. If you buy Apple Pencil Generation 2, it will not be compatible with the other versions of the iPad. So you do have to keep that in mind when shopping for these models. Okay, before I make this video too long, I'm going to gloss over the new iMacs. Everything is the same in terms of 21.5-inch, 27-inch, and iMac Pro. Those are the three Mac computers that got upgraded in these past few days. What are those upgrades? So, to lightly skim over it for those who don't care about specs at all or don't want to understand it, or maybe you just don't want to listen to that, I'll just gloss over what would matter to the average customer for these spec bumps. So with the 21.5-inch iMacs, they now come with a dedicated graphics card. before you were not able to get a dedicated GPU inside the computer. The dedicated GPU was used for graphics, Photoshop, 3D applications, and games. It didn't come with a GPU for the baseline models for the 21.5-inch computers. Now it comes with 2 gigs of VRAM, which is DDR4, and with the 27-inch iMacs, they only came with a GPU, with a dedicated GPU after a certain upgrade point. But now you can get it starting with 4 gigs and go up to 8. And that is the newer and the faster generation for RAM. Now, they are all AMD, which I personally really like AMD for what I use it for. For those who don't know me, I am an animation major, so I work a lot with Maya, I work a lot with Final Cut Pro, Adobe products. I pretty much sleep in those applications because I do so much work with it. And over the years, they've gotten way more support in Mac, where they're more optimized with their hardware. So I've been kind of going back and forth between using a Mac and using a PC. Right now I'm using a Mac. I've got my MacBook Pro here, which I'm reading all my notes from. And I'm really liking it. It now starts at 6 cores for the 21.5-inch, which is different from having the quad cores before. And the 27-inch iMacs now start with, they also start with 6 cores, but you can go up to 8 cores. And 8 cores is what the iMac Pro starts at. Now, here's what's interesting about the iMac Pro. Now you can get up to 256 gigabytes of RAM. That's a lot of RAM. That's enough to, you can have like a whole studio render on there. Like, it's phenomenal how much RAM that is. It's mind-blowing that computers have gotten to this point where you can do all these amazing things with them. For the 256 gigs of RAM upgrade, it is going to be over $5,000 for that upgrade, which I know is the same starting price as the iMac Pro, but is honestly a really good deal for 256 gigs of RAM. You don't have many machines out there that can handle that much RAM. Most you can go up to like 32, 64, or sometimes 128 gigs of RAM. But the fact that Apple has come out with a device that can go up to 256 gigs is amazing. Now, I would be beyond... I would be amazed if I could have one of those in my studio. That would be amazing. Because to have that much RAM in a machine that I can use for my work is amazing. So, in terms of recommending these upgrades, I would definitely say that it is a really recommended upgrade for those who have been waiting a long time for a new Mac computer, or maybe they have been waiting on AirPods for a while and going, okay, I'm going to wait for the next one. This is a really good time to upgrade because it's not too crazy of an upgrade to what you had before in terms of price range, but the amount of features that you're getting out of it is definitely substantial to what was available before. So I would definitely recommend, if you got an older iPad and you're looking to upgrade, I would definitely recommend upgrading your iPad today. And it's tough to say what this event is going to be on the 25th, but I am definitely excited for it. But that does it. So, if you like this video, if you like my suit, go ahead and like this video. There's a little thumbs up right below that title card. That's where the like button is. You gotta press it. Come on, press that like button. And then right next to it, there's a subscribe button. Go ahead and click that too. I'd really, really appreciate it. So, I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.